Hello everybody, we're going to be talking about some aviation stuff here today again. And today I'm going to be covering a Beech C-99 turboprop aircraft crash. And the cause of this accident, we all know that a door has gone loose here, but I'm looking at the accident now a few days after the fact, when everybody's been talking about it. And it's human factors once again. I mentioned that a pilot access door was not properly secured before takeoff. The door opened right after takeoff when this guy took off for his flight, and the pilot once again panicked. We're seeing a lot of panicking happening here in the cockpit. And this pilot that was flying this aircraft was trying to close the door for during this time of flight, and he was not flying the airplane. He was a single pilot IFR pilot, and it was dark at the time. It was early morning and IFR conditions with ice. So what the pilot has failed to do is aviate and navigate and communicate. And he was fixated, all his attention, on closing the pilot access door that became open as he took off. As I started researching this, I went over to the Blanc O'Leary channel, and he was showing the flight path of this aircraft, and you can see it's going up and down, left and right, and everything like that. And if you want, you can go over to his channel to take a look at more of an analysis on what he's been talking about there. But you can see this pilot, he's basically no longer flying this airplane. And he also fails to use his squawk codes too. That could have helped out a lot of things in this case. ATC during the incident was trying to communicate by other methods, such as another aircraft that was part of his company, which was Wiggum 1058. Alright, and they were trying to get phone numbers and call them on the landline all through this ordeal, which I found kind of bizarre at the time. The pilot eventually was too low while returning to the airport, and as you can see here in this video, he strikes some power lines and destroys his airplane and injures himself pretty badly. And finding out later after the fact, while he was fighting with this door up in the sky, it blew off miles away before he actually crashed. So if he would have just ignored the door and flew the airplane and returned back to the airport, he might have saved himself, which he didn't die, but he wouldn't have been injured, and he would have saved the airplane. So this aircraft that we're seeing here today is a Beech C-99 freighter. And its tail number, that crash, was November 53 Romeo Papa, and it was January 24th, 2024. This aircraft departed runway 06 on Manchester Boston Regional Airport, and I'm just going to give you the weather for that day. The weather was light and variable winds, 4 miles, and rain and mist. Cloud layers were broken 900, overcast 2100, and temperatures were 2 degrees with dew point at 0. So definitely a recipe for some ice and darkness while flying single pilot IFR. So he was in the cloud while all this was going on. It must have been just absolutely terrifying. So now that I've picked on this pilot, and I'm glad that he did not die, but it's easy to pick on somebody after something like this has happened. What I want to do now is try to give you some tips and how to maybe handle a situation like this if you are flying an aircraft like this Beech C-99 aircraft. I've never flown one, but you can see that access door. It's basically a wing. If you take a look at the video here, this picture here, you can see that if that thing's moving at 200 miles an hour or 180 miles an hour through the wind there, it's going to get lift from the bottom. So to close that door would pretty much be next to impossible, just because it's getting so much lift from the airflow coming ahead as the aircraft's traveling through the air. So what I want to do now is basically give you some procedures, if this does happen, to maybe get that door closed. Maybe. So it's not a definite, but this is how I would handle it. So I'm going to go through the procedure, but first, before we do that, just a few important words. When it's time for me to do my multi-IFR flight test, I always like to take a tissue that I can count on, and that is Royale. Royale is soft and strong, and if I fail my flight test, Royale is able to capture all the tears of my shame and disgrace. Royale If I can cry in one, so can you. Royal Tissues, ready for your next failure. You like that one, huh? Anyways, let's get back to it now, and we'll go through the procedures and how I would handle this if I was flying a Beech C-99 with no experience flying one. But I'm just trying to think of it logically and how I'd handle the situation. So I got my little demonstration airplane here. You can just see it's just a water bottle with a stick through it. But how I would handle this situation would be first to level the airplane off. If you take a look at the flight data, you can see he's kind of like turning around, climbing, just doing everything that he's not supposed to be doing. And by climbing, what is he doing? He's putting increased angle of attack on that door. Every time he climbs to slow down, he's still creating a forward center of pressure or lift on that door, creating it to lift up. What you want to do is get the air to hit the door from the other side so it pushes it back towards the fuselage. Right? So how I would handle this is first I would level the aircraft off. Once the aircraft's level with that door open, plus it's going to be really loud in there, just wind howling, I would then reduce the left engine. I would go differential split on the engines and reduce the throttle on the left engine. Now, when you do that, you know what's going to happen. Dead foot, right? Dead foot. Keep that in mind. So when you bring that power back, that means that left knee is going to go up. That means you're going to have to apply right rudder to keep her straight. But what this is going to allow you to do is do what they call a forward slip. And you'll be able to do it easier when you reduce the engine on the left side. Alright? So you're flying along, you're climbing out, bang, the door is open, lower the plane so it's straight and level flight, and then just start flying it and then bring that left engine back. So she's going to want to do this and correct with rudder. Alright? Once you do that and you got that one engine pulled back right now, what you're going to do is you're going to do a forward slip. So the airplane's now flying sideways, kind of like this. And then you're going to put the nose down a little bit. That's going to create a negative angle of attack on that door, so hopefully the air won't be coming in underneath the door now. It's going to be blocking it or hitting it from the side. So that will give you a chance to maybe close that door. But when the aircraft is straight like this and you're flying and that wind is coming straight at that door, it's creating lift. So you got to get that airflow away from underneath that door so you can close it back onto the fuselage. So once again, reduce the left engine, side slip, and then lower the nose. And now you can see that door may have a chance of getting some wind on top so you can close it back in. If that works, great. If not, well, then you're going to do what I'm going to tell you to do next. That door is basically bye-bye. And what happened here is that door did blow off miles away before it crashed. So the door was gone no matter what. The question is the pilot going to be okay, and is the aircraft going to be okay? So let's just say I can't close the door. That method didn't work. What we're going to do now is we're going to squawk ident 7700 emergency frequency. If you go to Juan Brown's channel, Blanco Larry there on YouTube, he's got the audios right there where you can hear that ATC doesn't know what they're doing. This guy's trying to communicate on his VHF comm, but he can't because the noise is so overwhelming inside the cockpit. So the best thing to do is declare an emergency without saying a thing. 7700 squawk ident. If you go to Juan Brown's channel, Blanco Larry there on YouTube, he's got the audios right there where you can hear that ATC doesn't know what they're doing. This guy's trying to communicate on his VHF comm, but he can't because the noise is so overwhelming inside the cockpit. So the best thing to do is declare an emergency without saying a thing. 7700 squawk ident. Then what you want to do is not get down low. You want to stay at your minimum sector altitude. Alright? Stay at minimum sector altitude and then return back to the airport. Then what you're going to do is a full procedure approach for runway 06, not runway 25 like this pilot was going to do. Why? Because you already did a pre-flight briefing. You already got runway 06 stuck onto your yoke. You're already familiar with the plate before you even take off. It's like a standard instrument departure. In the unlikely event if we need to return, we'll return back to the active for runway 06. Now you're not searching around looking for the plate for runway 25. So use the same runway that you took off on and come in and shoot the full approach. As soon as you squawk 7700, that relieves ATC from trying to contact you by other methods, and they see you lit up on the screen of 7700. And as they see you coming back to hit the beacon or the final approach fix to start your procedure turn to come back in and land on runway 06, all they got to do is just move the traffic out of the way. You've already declared an emergency, so you're off the hook. Alright? And that's pretty much how I would handle the situation. By not talking to ATC, by trying to get the door not to be directly into the airflow, try to get it away to close it, and I wouldn't spend all that time trying to close the door. I'd probably give it maybe 3 shots. But you could tell right away if you're going to try to close it and you're yawing. And at the same time you're in IMC cloud. Yeah. Something tells me you're just better off leaving the door and just going ahead and let the door fly off. And yeah, you're probably going to get in a little bit of trouble for it, like lose your job. But at least you're not going to hurt yourself or wreck the airplane and go down as an accident report like this guy did. So that's pretty much all of it right there right now. And stay tuned for my next video. And hey, have a good day. Take care, everybody. Going over aviation accidents, I like to sit back with a nice medium roast nabob coffee. Full, rich, body flavor. A nice rich blend. And a coffee that stands out over others. Nabob, a premium blend coffee. Buy it today. You know, when it comes to coffee, the rest just don't simply measure up. Nabob, if I can drink it, so can you.